Good morning, students and all my viewers. I'm Mithun. Today we are going to look into the concept elements and compounds. This concept comes under the class 6th as well as 7th. So this video can be utilized by both the classes. We'll just get into it. First, let's get into the concept elements. Elements are the pure substances that cannot be split into anything simpler by any chemical means. Which means elements are pure substances that cannot be split. That's a simple definition of elements. And each elements are made up of its own unique particle called as atoms, where an atom is the smallest unit of an element or the smallest particle which makes up an element. When we talk about elements, elements are classified into two groups. One metals, the other one non-metals. Metals, example such as iron, copper, aluminium, etc. And if you ask about non-metals, example oxygen, hydrogen, helium, etc. So I'll just write the definitions in points so that you can take a note of it and study. First one, elements. Elements are pure substances. Second point regarding elements. Elements cannot be split into simpler form. As like you can write cannot be split. So these are the 2 points that comes under the concept elements. And what makes an element? Atoms. Okay, atom is a basic unit that makes up an element. Atoms, the smallest particle of an element. Smallest particle of an element. Now I said there are 2 kinds of elements, right? One is metal, the other one is non-metal. 2 types. One metal, 2 non-metal. Actually, there is one more category. It is called as metalloid. All right, but I guess it's not included in your syllabus, so you don't have to worry about that. If you want to know what is a metalloid, metalloids are the elements which shows the properties of metal as well as non-metal. Right now, don't need to concentrate about that. Just study about metals and non-metals. Few examples I gave you. One was regarding metal, iron, Fe, the symbol, aluminium, Al, the symbol, etc. There are so many. Non-metals, example, oxygen, nitrogen, keeps on moving. So these are the few examples and these are the few points that comes under the concept elements. Alright, let's move on to the concept compounds. You are familiar with the word elements. Now, if you combine 2 or more elements together, we get compound. Alright, so 2 or more elements combined together forms a compound. First point, what is a compound? Compound is also a pure substance. Pure substance. Then the second point, 2 or more elements combined together forms compound. I'll just write it as 2 or more elements forms a And there's one more thing which you have to keep in mind. The combination of elements are always in fixed proportion. Alright, they have got their fixed proportions. Only at the fixed proportion these elements are combined together, and there hence it is called as the pure substances. Alright, now example for compounds. The simple example which you are familiar with is carbon dioxide, CO2. Carbon is an element, oxygen is another element, and there are two oxygens, therefore it's written as O2. So two oxygens when combined with a carbon atom or carbon, we get the compound named carbon dioxide. Now the next common example is water, and it's written as H2O. Water is written as H2O. Two atoms of hydrogen combined with one atom of oxygen gives you water, and water is a compound. These are the two examples which I gave you, and if you want more you can just go through the textbook. Now the next concept which we are going to talk about is symbols and formulae. Alright, the heading: symbols and formulae. An element or an atom of an element is always represented by using symbols, and this method was introduced by the Swedish scientist Berzelius. Most elements have their English name and come from the name that were given in Latin, and almost all the elements symbols are represented by using the first letter. For example, if you take hydrogen, hydrogen is represented by the letter H. The symbol for hydrogen is H. Next, when we take helium as an example, helium, now if I ask you what will be the symbol of helium, if you say H, H is the wrong answer. Alright, because H has been already taken by hydrogen. So in order to solve this mystery, scientists came across a method in which the first two letters of the element can be represented as a symbol of the element. So He was the symbol given to represent helium. Alright. Similarly, if you take a look, there are many such examples. If you take a look at carbon, the symbol is the first letter C. Similarly, when we look into the element calcium, since C is already been taken by carbon, Ca was the symbol given for calcium. Now when we take copper as an example, Copper. So if I ask you what will be the symbol for copper, if you say Co, it's wrong. The symbol for copper is Cu. Now if you ask me why it's Cu, the name copper is derived from the Latin name cuprum. Cuprum. So this is the Latin name for copper. Alright, and the symbol Cu comes from the Latin name cuprum. Now why don't we use copper? If you have that doubt, it's very simple. Co is a symbol for, if you have guessed it, good. Co is a symbol for cobalt. Cobalt, cobalt. So this is how the names of the elements or the symbols of the elements are derived. It's very simple, you will just understand it. Since at the starting time you will have some difficulties, but going through you will just come across it very well. Now these are the methods used to represent or to denote an element. Now when we look into the concept formulae, what is a formulae? The molecules of an element are always represented by formula. Now when we talk about molecules, we have to understand what is a molecule. Let's get into that. In a simple way, I can just tell you that molecules are the substances which are formed by the same kind of atoms. Alright, atoms is the smallest particle or the simplest particle. Now atom of oxygen is combining with another atom of oxygen, which will give you O2. Alright, when the atoms of the same elements combine together, you get a molecule. Similarly, H hydrogen plus another hydrogen, the atoms of same element are combined together to form H2. Similarly, there are various examples, not only two, actually there are others also. For example, if you take oxygen plus another oxygen forms O3. This is called as ozone. So ozone, which is protecting our earth from harmful rays, which you have studied. Alright, O3. Similarly, 8 atoms of sulfur forms together to denote a solid sulfur. Sulfur 8. Therefore, such combination of similar atoms are called as molecules. Alright, now go into the formula. Like we discussed, oxygen 2 represent the molecule of an oxygen, and this comes under the concept called formula, not symbols. Okay, this is formula. The same way when you talk about water, H2O. Okay, this is not called as symbol for water, it is called the formula. Next, when we talk about carbon dioxide, comes under concept called formula. So why do we use these symbols and formulae? It's very simple. Like in order to write the entire word, you can just denote it by a simple form called as symbols of formula. Now if you write carbon dioxide, you already know it takes up a long space. I have to write fully CARBON, carbon dioxide. Instead of writing so much, if I write just CO2, it will be very enough to understand. That stands for carbon dioxide. So this is the use of using symbols and formula. So that's the end of sixth concept of your first chapter, and the seventh concept will be continued in part 2 of the video. I wish you all happy quarantine, stay safe, stay hygiene, and thank you.